know what really irritates me, guys? I hate it when people are expecting a brand new game and expecting all of this and that, saying like, oh, we know what we're saying, we know what we want in a game franchise. It bugs me to so much extent when people say, this needs to be in a game, or that needs to be in the game, or they need to do this in order for the game to get better. Now, I can understand this in certain aspects, but in other aspects, I can't understand it, especially when it comes to the Fallout series. Some of the suggestions, wish lists, and other stuff like that I've seen with Fallout are just downright ridiculous, stupid, and otherwise. And I'm going to talk about it right here, right now. Hello, everybody. I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen, and welcome to another edition of A Wolf's Word. Well, Wolf's Word Special, sorry. Now, today on A Wolf's Word Special, I gotta be brutally honest, guys. I mean, you all know for a fact that the Fallout franchise is my favorite gaming franchise of all time. Like, I started with New Vegas. I bought this game in 2010 when I bought my PS3. I bought this in 2010 and I was immediately hooked. I've created so many profiles with this game that I think I've dumped about 3, maybe 400 hours into this game. In 2011, I bought Fallout 3 out of my friend's recommendation. I had the Game of the Year edition at first, but then I traded it with my friend and got vanilla Fallout 3 instead. And I played all of the DLC for Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, and I've put in about 300 plus hours into both games. And I can honestly say this is my favorite gaming franchise of all time. I have not put more time into a game than the Fallout franchise. I mean, seriously, like, everyone has that one franchise that you've put more time than you would like to. The only other game where I've done that is Left 4 Dead 2, but these games are my favorite games of all time, which is being brutally honest. So yeah, like everyone else, I am eagerly awaiting Fallout 4, and I'm, like, thinking what's going to be in Fallout 4. So much so that I've seen a lot of wish list videos and stuff like that. Like, people asking for certain things out of Fallout 4. Because I was really, really hoping that at E3 this year, Fallout 4 would have been announced, but it wasn't. And I'm a little sad on that front, but then again, Bethesda is smart. They know how to make a good game. I know Elder Scrolls Online didn't do very well, but then again, they were way outside their comfort zone there. But I know Bethesda. They will do well with the next Fallout game. Same way how they did well with Skyrim. But here's the thing. Some of the wish lists that I have seen are just downright stupid. Like, I've seen some of the weirdest suggestions from wish lists all over the place. From Zooming Games, from random YouTubers, from websites, to other crap like that. And I just can't help but be like, half of this stuff is fucking, redonkulous, right? And I'm going to get into some of them that I heard about. One of the most popular suggestions, which I do not want, is competitive multiplayer. Think about this, guys. Fallout, competitive multiplayer. How would that work? Someone answer me that question right now. How would competitive multiplayer work in a Fallout game? Someone try to explain that to me. And don't try to say, oh, they could just do an easy 8-on-8 multiplayer deathmatch and stuff like that. No, because it's not Call of Duty. Fallout is nowhere in the same area as Call of Duty. Yes, it's an FPS, but it's an RPG. How would you work an RPG into a shooter? This is what I'm kind of asking with Destiny in some cases, because it does have competitive multiplayer, while at the same time having RPG aspects. But, how would that work? Because the thing is about Fallout, which a lot of you know as well as I do, Fallout has a high, integration when it comes to weapons and armor. The better your armor, the better your chances of surviving combat. Where some of the best armor, especially as you can see right here, is the freaking Brotherhood of Steel armor. The power armor. That's the best heavy armor that you can get in the game. How would you be able to kill a person wearing power armor? The only way to get through power armor in Fallout 3 was with like weapons that can get through, like EMP-based weapons or laser weapons. The only way to get through in Fallout New Vegas, they expanded upon this by having armor-piercing rounds. But of course, armor-piercing doesn't go through all kinds. Like, it goes through armor, yes, but it doesn't do nothing against unarmored opponents. You would have to use hollow points against unarmored opponents. That's what I'm trying to say. There's so many variables in Fallout that there's no way you can make this competitive multiplayer balanced. It would cater to the strong. And that's the problem that God of War Ascension has. God of War Ascension caters to the strong. It is not beginner friendly. I picked up God of War Ascension just recently and tried out the multiplayer, and I got wrecked in the multiplayer. There's like no way I can compete with these guys. These guys had like these crazy combinations already set up with these crazy ass weapons that I didn't even see in the beta. So God of War Ascension's multiplayer is not beginner friendly. As much as people like to rag and rave on Call of Duty, you can at least make the argument that Call of Duty multiplayer is beginner friendly. Anybody, and I mean anybody, can pick up Call of Duty at any time. Hell, someone could pick up Black Ops 2 right now, start a brand new file, and do really, really well. Why? Because Call of Duty has this little thing known as balance. Not a great amount of balance, but it still has balance. The game is somewhat fair. Call of Duty has a couple of fair aspects, has a couple of balanced areas. No gun feels more powerful than the other. Every gun has a different aspect. There are favorites, and then there are ones that everyone uses, yes, but any gun can be used in any situation in Call of Duty. Every player has proven this. How would you be able to make Fallout multiplayer work because of some of the weapons? I mean, Fallout New Vegas has an anti-material rifle. That is enough to take out most enemies in one shot. And that's even wearing armor. Like, going up against Caesar's Legion, you could take one down with 2 shots on normal difficulty. I play on hard. I play all my Fallout games on hard mode for the challenge. So, it wouldn't work. That anti-material rifle would kill in one shot easily. And not to mention if you could use the BAT's aiming system. That would make it completely broken, the multiplayer. So yeah, I don't want to see competitive multiplayer. The second thing that people were asking for in Fallout, vehicles. Why do y'all want vehicles in Fallout? We already got fast travel. I mean, seriously, guys. We have fast travel in Fallout. In other games where there was no fast travel, like Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, it helped to have that kind of, accessibility, like the gondolas and the Silt Striders in Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. In Oblivion, when would you need a horse? Answer me that question. When would you need a horse in Oblivion? You could fast travel to any town even if you've never been there. I tested it. You could fast travel to any town you want to in Oblivion, and you don't even have to have been there. You could teleport, you could fast travel straight from the Imperial City to Kvatch and back. And you've never even been to Kvatch. That's what I'm trying to say, that fast travel kind of kills the idea of having other modes of transportation. I know people are about to say, oh, with the vehicles, we'd be able to get around more and adventure more. No, you would probably miss more, because think about it. When you're in Fallout, it's about, look, the thing is about Fallout, it gives you the idea of you're helpless. When you're out in the wasteland by yourself, you have to pay attention to your surroundings, because if you're not paying attention to your surroundings, a random Yaogwai or Deathclaw can sneak up on you, or the occasional raider or something like that. You have to be aware of your surroundings whenever you are playing a Fallout game. Being in vehicles would get rid of that awareness factor, and honestly, it would make you a worse player, because if you're so comfortable in the vehicle, when it's time to go out on foot, you're not going to have this situational awareness that you would have when playing Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Playing these games, I've developed a great sense of situational awareness, especially when I become enemies with certain factions. Like, I've been enemies with Caesar's Legion ever since I've played this game. Like, every game I've played, I've been enemies. I've only been enemies with NCR once, and I've only been enemies with the Brotherhood of Steel once. And you have to have situational awareness, because they can send hit squads after you to attack you. And they are freaking powerful. So, without the vehicles, Fallout teaches you how to be more aware of your surroundings and know what you're capable of doing. Not to mention, if you're in vehicles, you're going to skip a lot of things. You are going to skip a lot of locations for potential looting and stuff like that. Because, let me ask you this honest question. If you have a vehicle, and you could drive it anywhere in the wasteland, are you really going to check every cave, facility, and otherwise? Or are you just going to try to make your way all the way to the next town? Honestly, I think vehicles would not be good in Fallout. There have been some arguments saying, like, oh, what if we have to replace the parts and stuff like that? I can maybe see that working, as it was done in Fallout Equestria. Since, in Fallout Equestria, I'm not. Well, here's the thing. It's an early chapter thing. So the character Little Pip gets this thing called a Sky Bandit, and her friend Calamity is able to use that using spark batteries, I believe. Basically, the thing can fly even if it's only one Pegasus pulling it. But if they don't keep replacing the batteries, it will gain. It will not be able to sustain itself. So yeah, if they had like an aspect like that, I could see vehicles somewhat working, but I kind of don't see a great idea towards this because it just seems like a way to travel from town to town quicker. But then again, we have fast travel, so why do we need vehicles in the first place? Just being honest, guys. I'm just being honest. Then we have this aspect that people say, "Oh, we should be able to change our races, like become a ghoul or a super mutant." Fuck that. You want to know why I say fuck that? That gets rid of 1/3 of the danger in Fallout. Let me explain this. Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3 have one looming threat in the game. Radiation. While radiation is not as strong in Fallout New Vegas as it is in Fallout 3, it's still a looming factor that if you're not careful, you could die of radiation poisoning. If the developers allowed us to pick from super mutants, nightkin, ghouls, and other stuff like that, that would get rid of 1/3 of the aspect because of one simple reason. Super mutants are immune to radiation. Ghouls are healed by radiation. And same thing with nightkin. So radiation would be a null and void point if you were any of these three races. And this would get rid of 1/3 of the danger in Fallout, thus making the game even more easy. I mean, do you really want to make the game that easy that as a ghoul, all you have to do is go to a highly irradiated area and you'll be healed instantly? That's going to make the game easy. All you have to do is, like, if you're in bad combat, just go in water and you'll get healed up because of the radiation in the water. And plus, how would you balance out super mutants? Those guys are proverbial tanks. They can take shots for days, they are big as hell, and they are fast as hell. I know a lot of people would say, oh, then you wouldn't be able to play as a stealth-based character while as a super mutant. Doesn't matter. You have the power to basically plow through every enemy you see. Guys in power armor, oh, you could just easily beat those guys to a pulp. Oh, a Deathclaw coming after you? You're a super mutant. You could probably take him on easily. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't like this idea of other races. I think playing as humans is the best idea. Don't lie. No lie, though. I would love to play as a ghoul, but I think it would make the game too easy if you could become a ghoul. I mean, at least with Oblivion and Skyrim, when you become a werewolf or a vampire, there are certain negatives. Like, for instance, as a vampire, you can't be out during the day, and you have to feast on blood constantly. Because if you don't, you could kill it. You could die from lack of bloodlust. Same thing with werewolves. When you're a werewolf, silver weapons hurt more. And there are quite a few enemies that carry silver-based weapons. Being a werewolf is actually more prominent in Morrowind than it is in Skyrim, while being a vampire is more prominent in Oblivion than it is in Skyrim. So the dangers balance out the positives. There barely is any dangers of being a super mutant balancing out the positives. Because the only danger of being a super mutant and it balancing it out is that you wouldn't be able to go to civilized towns. If that was the case, how are you supposed to complete the game? Like, there's the real question. How are you supposed to complete the game? How? So I really don't like this idea of alternate races or anything like that. And then here's one that really, really bugs me. Here's one wish list that really, really bugs me. Improved combat. I know what a lot of you are about to say, well, you don't want the combat to be improved? I do. But let me ask you one simple question. One question, guys. And answer it to me truthfully. How do you improve the combat in a first-person RPG? Answer me that now. Answer me that now. How do you improve a first-person shooter's combat? You could do this in fantasy games like The Witcher or something like that by having improved melee combat, improved magic systems, and stuff like that, or great integration of both. How would you improve the combat in Fallout? It's a shooter! I know a lot of you are about to say, oh, but there's explosives, melee, and other stuff like that. At its core, it's a shooter. You'll be doing more shooting than you will anything else unless you are role-playing. You know, like, unless you are role-playing, you will be doing more shooting with guns or freaking laser weapons. And even if you're using explosives, shooting with a grenade launcher. So no matter what, you will be doing shooting. There is no way to improve a shooter. I don't know why people keep saying, oh, improve the combat in a shooter. How do you improve the combat in a shooter? Explain that to me. How do you improve the combat? How? How do you change up the combat in a shooter? It's a shooter. You can't improve combat in a shooter. I can understand adding new melee attacks or something like that, which New Vegas did in the VATS, where you could do special melee attacks within VATS, or if you have your unarmed to 100, you could do these crazy moves, like knock an opponent down, stomp on their head, and stuff like that. I don't see any way you can improve the shooting aspects in a freaking game like this. Maybe add executions. I could see that where, like, an enemy gets knocked down and maybe you could do, like, an execution to them. That'd be kind of something I would like to see. But that's a very, like, unnecessary thing to add. I mean, what kind of necessity is that? I mean, how do you improve a shooter? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, how do you improve a shooter? And that's just being honest. Now, I know what to lie you're about to say. What are some things I want to see in Fallout 4? Well, I've already made most of my things are actually pretty common. One I would like to see is the idea of a new area. I would love to see the Commonwealth, because we keep hearing about the Commonwealth, especially in Fallout 3. We hear about the Commonwealth, about this being this technologically advanced location, and I would love to freaking see this place. I would love to see the Commonwealth one day. Maybe we'll get to see that in the next Fallout game. Maybe not, because the Commonwealth has shown to be very technologically advanced, considering the android that you run into in Fallout 3. Won't spoil that one, though. One other thing I want to see is an improved morality system. What I mean by this is that I don't want them to replace the good-evil system, but I want them to improve on it. There's a system in Fable 3 that I actually do like. The idea that you could be good and evil, but you could also be morally corrupt or morally sound. What I mean by this is that you could be a good character in Fable 3, but you could jack up the prices on rent and stuff like that and become morally corrupt. How this would work in Fallout, I can actually see this in many aspects. Maybe a choice you made in a quest is a good choice, but it's morally questionable. Or maybe there's a neutral choice that you made, but it's morally sound. Get me? Like, I want to see them do like an aspect like this, because it would actually be a lot easier. It would actually be a lot more interesting to see how a morality system would work. Especially considering that they have an aspect where enemies do get scared of you after they take so much damage. Maybe have like a system where like an enemy retreats from you and you could choose to finish them off, or you can choose to, you know, leave them alone. Maybe when you finish them off, that's considered a morally corrupt choice because you killed a person who doesn't want to fight anymore. Or it's morally sound because you let that person go. Maybe they'll change their ways after being in that fight with you. I want to see them improve on the morality system in many cases in Fallout. I'm not saying to give us like a sanity meter or anything like that, like from Don't Starve, but I would love to have them have like different, like, you know, not only the good evil meter, but the moral meter as well. So this way, like, you could be an evil character, but you could be morally sound. Because there are characters in books, novels, games, and otherwise who are evil, but morally sound. I mean, seriously, like, there are plenty of characters who could be considered that. Like, Voss, if you really think about it, he's evil, but he's morally sound. He knows what he wants, and he knows what to do to get those wants. That's still considered sound in many cases, a morally sound character. So I would love to see this in Fallout 4. Maybe, you know, the aspect of this, because it would actually improve the good-evil system. And there really isn't much else than that. I want to see the Commonwealth. I want to see an improved system of the morality system. And I guess I just want to see. I guess I just want to see what they can do. So really, that's all I really need to say on this aspect. Hopefully, this video did not turn you off in many aspects, but I had to get this off my chest. It's been bugging me for the longest, the amount of wish lists I've been seeing towards Fallout 4. And that's just being brutally honest. I mean, I understand wanting certain things from Fallout 4, but you have to be reasonable with them. Like, really think about it. Like, if you want to have a wish list, look at these games, look at what they do, and tell yourself, is this something that can work? Ask yourself, is this something that can work in this game? Like, honestly, would competitive multiplayer work in this or this game? Ask yourself this. Would vehicles work in either of these games? Would created races work in these games? You have to ask yourself if it's possible and if it would work and if there's a way to balance it. That's how you come up with a good wish list. Because if you just come up with a wish list saying, I want multiplayer, I want improved combat, blah, 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 and no reason behind it, you're just going to be seen as an idiot. I mean, seriously, I understand improving the combat in a Fallout game. I do. But what can you really do to improve a shooter? Like, what can you really do to change a shooter's aspect? A shooter is a shooter. There really is not a lot you could do to that shooter besides add new weapons, add new mods, and stuff like that. And even then, that's kind of, that's not really changing. That's just adding. So really, that's just my own point of view. Alright guys, hopefully this video wasn't too off-turning. Go ahead and leave your comments down below on your thoughts on Fallout 4 and maybe what you want to see in Fallout 4. And we'll discuss it in the comment section below. So, until next time guys, I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen. Hope you enjoyed, and until next time guys, take care.